This is a reflection on the readings for this Sunday, May 17th. In all three readings from the New Testament, we are given witness to the promise of the Holy Spirit. Samaria, a city hated by the Jews, becomes one of the earliest centers of conversion by Philip. The conversion of the Samaritans was so important and noticeable that Peter and John took it upon themselves to go there and pray for the Samaritans to receive the Holy Spirit. Peter speaks of how the Holy Spirit was the instrument of Jesus' resurrection. John gives witness to Jesus' promise of the Holy Spirit to those who keep my commandments. John 14, being part of Jesus' final discourse with the apostles, raised questions that perplexed the apostles. However, Jesus also gives the apostles and us the simplest answer. Through the Holy Spirit, the advocate, all truths will be revealed to those who keep God's commandments. Just like the assault by Babylon upon Judah, nations and the world are constantly assaulted by evils and misguidance. We are constantly dealing with crises of war, disease, famine, corruption, oppression, and more. We are not currently fighting a world war of international conflict. However, we are fighting wars of famine, disease, and pestilence, bringing no fewer deaths than the destructive violence of a global armed conflict. Just as in the scriptures, wars are caused by man, and many innocent persons suffer and die. And like all wars, many ugly truths are revealed, especially disobedience and rejection of God's commandments, hate and fear instead of love, lies, corruption, greed, and oppression of the innocent and helpless. The pandemic has clearly divided our nation along righteous and unrighteous, just and unjust lines. It has caused those who are righteous to step forward and serve the needs of others. It is not about how much one gives or serves. It is about giving and serving more than is usual or comfortable. The righteous do not all have the same faith or same level of faith, but all righteous want to help. The voices of the unrighteous and unjust, the liars and idolaters of worldliness, those filled with selfish pride, and those who would do harm to others for their own sake, often overwhelm the sounds of the just and righteous. Thankfully, such persons are fewer in number. The unrighteous lack of faith and their immorality is visible for all to see. While the righteous may outnumber the unrighteous, many innocents are hurt or killed by the actions of the unrighteous and by their selfishness. But do not fear. Just as the apostles walked through the streets of Jerusalem, filled with pagans, unrighteous and false believers, just as Philip, Peter, and John went into a city whose people were once despised, the Spirit and the many righteous and just people keep our hopes alive. From earliest times, it is the Holy Spirit who brings life back to the people, and who brings an end to the crisis. It is the Holy Spirit who instills the select with the knowledge, faith, and wisdom to rise above and bring the lesser of us along with them. God has warned us many times of our failings and disbelief. God is warning us again. There is always the core of true believers, and among the true believers are those who truly trust in the Lord. These are those who allow the Holy Spirit to work through them, willing to risk all to be a full servant of God. Jesus is our eternal salvation. However, if the world is to survive, return to some level of sanity, civility, and prosperity, it will be the Holy Spirit who brings new life to our nation and the world. Like the Jews who returned from captivity, These must be a restoration of true faith. There also must rise from our ashes persons like Ezra and Nehemiah, male and female, who can once again bring morality back into the masses and stop the hands of selfishness, bigotry, greed, fear, and oppression. Just as Jesus was brought to life by the Spirit, we, the people of God, must rely upon the Spirit of God to restore us individually and collectively to life, a life filled with righteousness and justice, in all and for all. This I believe.